Hello, welcome back. I'm Liv and you're watching 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐚 TV live from our Sydney studio. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. Let's get started with today's market close commentary. The Australian share market closed higher on Tuesday. That was led by a strong rally in energy, realty, financial and material stock. The market seemed to have shifted focus from interest rate hike concerns to economic growth. Energy firms, banks and other stocks that were hit by US Federal Reserve's hawkish outlook witnessed a sharp rebound amid belief that the interest rates will gradually rise with the recovery in the global economy. The ASX 200 ended 106.90 points or 1.48% higher at 7,342.20, crossing above its 20-day moving average. Earlier today, the index opened higher at 7,235.3, tracking overnight gains in US stocks. During the day's trade, the equity benchmark gained as much as 1.8% to hit an intraday trade high of 7,365.9. Over the last 5 sessions, the index has lost 0.51% after the market suffered sharp losses on Monday, falling 1.81% on escalating rate hike fears. The market breadth indicating the overall strength of the market was strong, with 10 of the 11 sectoral indices closing higher. The energy sector emerged as the top performer with a 2.35% gain. Among others, financials, 𝐊𝐴𝐺𝐻, materials, they all rose around 2%. Telecommunications, services, utilities and industrial sectors also ended with a 1% plus gain. On the other hand, healthcare was one of the losers today, closing 0.38% lower. Australian energy stocks were the top gainers, with index heavyweights Woodside Petroleum Limited and Santos Limited surging owing to higher crude oil prices. Crude oil prices did rise on Monday due to a pause in the much-awaited decision on the revival of the US-Iran nuclear deal. August delivery Brent crude oil futures traded 0.13% up at $75 US per barrel, and WTI crude oil futures for the August delivery were quoted at $73.09 US a barrel. That's down 0.04% as of the 22nd of June. Snapping a 6-session losing streak, the ASX listed gold stocks AXGD climbed as much as 2% today due to a correction in the US dollar. The nickel gold miner 𝐈GO Limited emerged as the biggest gainer in the index, rising as much as 9.5%. Sector heavyweight Newcrest Mining Limited, Silver Lake Resources Limited and Northern Star Resources Limited also closed the day higher. Let's now move to the top gainers and losers of the day. Mining firm Pilbara Minerals Limited was the top percentage gainer on the ASX, rising 7.4%. Some other top performers were Redbubble, Chalice Mining, 𝐈GO Limited and PointsBet Holdings Limited on the ASX PBH. On the other hand, agro firm Nufarm Limited was the top loser on the ASX, falling 2.16%. West Gold Resources Limited, Appen Limited, Polynovo Limited and Chorus Limited, among the other laggards. Let's take a look now at the shares that remained in the news today. The first share we'll take a look at is graphite-focused mineral explorer Battery Minerals Limited. It climbed as much as 8.8% to 1.8 Australian cents on a deal to buy a copper project in Western Australia. The company stated it has agreed to acquire the Russell Copper Project in the Halls Creek Tectonic Zone of Western Australia from iCopper Pty. The company says it will pay $100,000 in cash and issue $1 million Australian dollars, worth of shares. As per the exchange filing, the company is required to make subsequent payments of a further 1.5 million Australian dollars in aggregate in cash and shares after 12 months. Next up, let's take a look at the shares of oil and gas explorer Blue Energy Limited. It rose as much as 6% to 7.1 Australian cents. The company stated it has entered a non-binding memorandum of understanding to supply hydrogen to coal explorer Stanmore Resources on the ASX SMR for Stanmore's activities in the Bowen Basin in Queensland. Australia listed shares of manganese ore and OM Holdings Limited gained as much as 5.5 0.5% to 87 Australian cents. The company stated it debuted on Malaysia's main market, Bursa Securities, at an opening price of 2.7 ringgit per share. Now, that is a 5.84% premium from the listing reference price of 2.57 ringgit per share. The next share we'll take a look at, residential property developer Cedar Woods Properties Limited on the ASX CWP. It went up by as much as 9.1% to $7.11 Australian after the company recorded pre-sales of about $439 million as of the 31st of May versus $360 million in the same period last year. The company stated its projects in South Australia and Queensland are experiencing strong sales, and the trend is likely to continue into the financial year 2022 at the company's 7 land estates across metropolitan Perth. Well, I'll have some more updates to share with you very shortly. For now, it's time for a short break. Stay.
This is Andy Liu broadcasting from 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Media Studio in Australia, and I'll be hosting the new 𝐊𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐽 Wellness Show. The half-hour show will cover topics from how wellness as a concept has become even more significant during COVID, to how becoming vegan may improve your health, and much more. We are excited to showcase our live streaming show to our audience of millions overseas and in Australia. Tune in to 𝐊𝐴 TV and join me.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Liv and you're watching 𝐊𝐴 TV live from our Sydney studio. This is the last show of the day, the last trade. Let's look at some more shares that were in the news today. The share price of coal miner Montern Resources Limited on the ASX MR1 slumped as much as 71.4% to 2 Australian cents, hitting a record low on Tuesday. The company's stated joint review panel has denied applications for the Grassy Mountain coal project owned by Benga Mining Limited, adjacent to Montem's assets in Alberta. Shares of the engineering company Monadelphous Group Limited on the ASX MND gained as much as 5% to $10 Australian $0.35 on securing a new order. The company stated it has got a contract with BHP Olympic Dam Corp for smelter campaign maintenance works at the Olympic Dam copper mine in Roxby Downs, South Australia. Monadelphous said that it secured a contract with NMT International in partnership with Fagioli, a global heavy lifting services firm, to deliver specialist heavy lifting in haulage services at its Iron Bridge Magnetite project in Western Australia. Medical devices maker CardiX Limited on the ASX CDX, it gained as much as 10.7% to 8.3 Australian cents on Tuesday. The company says its unit Connect T Inc. has partnered with 𝐿IFE𝐞, a provider of biometrics and health information metrics from wearable devices. The company stated under the partnership, 𝐿IFE𝐞 and Connect T will develop wearable devices which will provide clinical and lifestyle-related health metrics, insights, as well as solutions for consumers. The share price of Acrux Limited on the ASX ACR gained as much as 39% to 16 Australian cents after the US FDA granted approval of the company's generic version of Jublia. Jublia is an antifungal drug used for the topical treatment of infections of the nail. Shares of Gold Explorer Tracker Resources Limited on the ASX TKL, it gained as much as 25% to 2 Australian cents. The company stated resources estimates at the Maori Queen and Surdar deposits at its flagship Mount Caithlin gold project in Western Australia indicated the presence of high-grade gold. IGO Limited on the ASX IGO shares gained as much as 9.5% to $7.75 Australian cents after the company released an update on its 𝐷𝐴𝐴 transaction. The company stated regulatory requirements for the internal restructuring of the Australian arm of 𝐷𝐴𝐴𝐿𝐿ithium Corp to proceed have now been satisfied. IGO aims to complete the transaction on or before the 30th of June 2021. Last December, IGO said it would invest 1.4 billion Australian dollars in a local unit of Tianqi for a stake in the Greenbushes, the world's largest hard rock lithium mine. Battery anode company Talga Group Limited on the ASX TLG announces it's linked a deal with Nordic battery maker Freya to supply Talga's Swedish active anode materials. The material will be used for Freya's battery cell production, which is under development in Norway. I'll have more updates to share with you very shortly. For now, it's time for a short break.
At 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV, we'll take you to the heart of the Australian equity market. We'll bring you breakthrough stories that highlight volatility, as well as tailwinds building across the length and breadth of markets. Whether space travel will gain momentum, while economies may gradually open amid vaccine rollouts, our experts will share their timely inputs. So join us on this exciting journey of live streaming, financial and stock market news. 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Liv and you're watching 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV live from Sydney. It's the last show of the day, the last trade. Let's take a look at the next share that was in the news today. Shares of Commonwealth Bank of Australia on the ASX CBA. They rose 3.13% to 101 Australian dollars 0.13, pairing most of the previous session's losses. The stock had fallen over 5% on Monday after the lender announced the sale of its general insurance business. CBA, one of the four premier banks of Australia, has signed a deal to sell its Australian general insurance unit, CommInsure General Insurance, to the South African insurer Hollard Group. The deal includes an exclusive 15-year strategic alliance with Hollard for the distribution of home and motor vehicle insurance products to CBA's retail customers in Australia. Little Green Farmer Limited on the ASX Ltd has informed the exchange that it had acquired world-class, fully operational GACP cultivation and GMP licensed medicinal cannabis assets in Denmark. This plant has a capacity to produce in excess of 20 tonnes of biomass per annum, including 12 tonnes per annum of dried cannabis flower. Let's move on now to the Asian markets. Asian markets continue to trade higher after making a positive start, tracking overnight gains from Wall Street. Japan's Nikkei was the best performer in the region, extending gains to 3%, recouping most of the previous session's losses. Seoul's Kospi rose 0.73%. Indonesia's Jakarta Composite gained 1.51%, and Taiwan's weighted index climbed 0.5%. China's Shanghai Composite rose 0.8%, while India's BSE Sensex climbed 0.75%. Bucking the trend, the Straits Times Index in Singapore was down by 0.33%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng traded flat, and that was Singapore down 0.33. On Monday, Wall Street closed higher as investors shrugged off inflation worries. The Dow Jones rose 1.76% and the S&P 500 gained 1.4%. The Nasdaq Composite climbed 0.79%. Well, I'll have more updates to share with you. For now, it's time for a short break.
This is Andy Liu broadcasting from 𝐊𝐶𝐞 Media Studio in Australia, and I'll be hosting the new 𝐊𝐶𝐞 Wellness Show. The half-hour show will cover topics from how wellness as a concept has become even more significant during COVID, to how becoming vegan may improve your health, and much more. We are excited to showcase our live streaming show to our audience of millions overseas and in Australia. Tune in to 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV and join me.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Liv. You're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. It's the last show of the day, the last trade. Moving on to crypto, Bitcoin, Ether and other digital coin witnessed bearish trends in the cryptocurrency market. All the major coins, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin and XRP, were trading lower during the Asian trading hour on Tuesday. The market sentiment dented by China's crackdown on cryptocurrency mining. Beijing has intensified its crackdown on cryptocurrency mining to the southwestern province of Sichuan, according to reports. Now, Bitcoin is the world's largest cryptocurrency by market value. It was trading at around $32,795, down 3.5%. In the overnight trade, the price of Bitcoin crashed more than 10% after China further tightened its noose on crypto mining. With this, the market valuation of Bitcoin crashed $590 billion. That's way lower than the $1 trillion it touched a few months back before coming under the bear's clutch. Other cryptocurrencies were deep in the red as the Chinese obsession with banning crypto mining continued. Ether, the second largest crypto, was down 6.85% at $1,954, and XRP fell 13% to 62.63 cents. The meme currency Dogecoin plunged 23% to 19.93 cents. The crypto markets have witnessed a surge in selling in recent times amid a slew of negative developments. The continuing concern about China's regulatory regime for cryptos and the fear of tighter monetary policy from the US Federal Reserve has left investors jittery. Now, that's all for now on the last trade. With our existing operations in Australia, New Zealand, the UK and Canada, Kalkine Media has launched its operations in the US markets. Every day in our first show, the Global Market Updates, you can get the latest and important news from the US and UK markets from overnight happenings. On that note, have a good night.